All right, so welcome to the TeamViHOPE call. Today's call, we decided to talk about how to encourage our kids to be healthy and active by including them in a family challenge. And I myself am a mom of two. I have an 18-year-old son and I have a 13-year-old son. Both of them play rep-level sports. So 4 nights a week, they are out for 2 or 3 hours on the field, running around, needing extra nutrition, needing even some of the energy stuff that we use. We first talked about the challenge for my kids, the products, because my youngest son was on a medication that actually decreased his appetite, and he was extremely picky with food and struggling with some issues surrounding food, and was actually, his health was really deteriorating. He had no energy. He had, black bags under his eyes. He was underweight. He was actually stunting his growth because he was so undernourished, and it wasn't because I wasn't feeding him. It was because he was just extremely picky, things he wouldn't eat, and because of his medication. So at that time, the doctors wanted to put him on a very dangerous medication, I think. And the reason for that was because one of the side effects was it increases hunger. Well, I wasn't satisfied with that. I wasn't about to let them put him on something that I didn't feel that he needed just because it had that kind of side effect. So I was already on the challenge. I took it to our child nutritionist, the pediatrician. I took it to the pharmacist to make sure it wasn't going to interfere with any of his other medications. I took it to our doctor. I had a holistic nutritionist friend who looked at the products, and she was actually really excited about them. And every single one of them told me, this is safe for your kids. This is good nutrition for your kids. Don't feel badly or be nervous about giving this to your kids. And so we didn't replace meals because he was young. Instead, we added it to his meals. I made pancakes with it. I put it in his oatmeal, his muffins. I made a shake that he would drink with his breakfast. Now we have the crunch. Oh, my gosh, that kid goes through bags and bags and bags of that stuff. He's always calling me, asking me where more of the crunch is. And I put my oldest son on it as well at the same time because we all sort of started together. And both of them being ADHD kids and having learning disabilities, I got a call from both of their schools within the first maybe 2 weeks. And they said, I don't know what you've done. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it, because they noticed the kids had settled in and Jacob had more energy. He was more alert. And so we really found for those things it was awesome. But as well now for sports, it's also very awesome to make sure that we get the nutrition back into them after they're being out there and being active and exerting all that energy. So I love it for those reasons. The next person I have on the call tonight, I can't even tell you how inspired I am by this person. And he's like not even a teenager yet. Like, this kid has just accomplished so many things. His mom sent me some photos. His name's Brandon Boen, and he's on the line with his mom, Shane. And he actually set a commit and has accomplished some pretty amazing goals just in the last 60 days alone. This kid is a beast, and I'm so excited to hear his story. Brandon, are you here?
Yes.
Hey, buddy.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. My legs are tired.
You sound really good. So do you want to just tell your story, or do you want me to ask you questions?
I want to tell my story.
You do that. You go right ahead. I'm going to be quiet now.
I have been on challenge for a year.
Amazing.
At NST, I will get my ViLife t-shirt and matchel. My favorite shakes are PB&J, chocolate cinnamon, and orange juice and neon.
Nice.
And for my training, I do 105 pounds on leg press. Then I do 25 pounds on rows, which
it's pretty hard.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. And then I do the elliptical.
And you just did your 15K.
And I just did my 15K.
So your bike commit has about 10 minutes. Did you run about 15K? Is that what you did?
Yep.
And that was that part of your bike commit goal?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. buddy. That's really amazing. And you got a medal, and you...
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. I'm really proud of you. I don't know many adults that work quite that hard, buddy. That's awesome.
Thank you. I have 10 more days into my, on my bike mitt.
Oh, I can't wait to see what you do in those 10 days, buddy. I can't wait to see your video at the end either.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Listen, I want you to tell me what you would tell other kids out there if they said that they needed to exercise, or that they were tired a lot, or that they didn't like to eat healthy foods. What would you tell them?
I would tell them if they wouldn't work out, I would tell them don't quit and just work out. And if they won't eat healthy, I would just get them on Vi shakes. Yeah.
You're pretty smart.
Yep. And what was the other question?
Well, I just wanted to know what you would tell them if they didn't have a lot of energy.
They need neon.
They need neon. You're right. I think we all need neon, don't we?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So listen, is your mom there? Because I wanted to ask your mom a couple questions.
Yeah, she's here.
I am here.
Okay, listen, I want to say thank you for getting on the call.
All right, he's going to head to bed.
Shane, he is amazing.
He's our little superstar, that's for sure.
I can't believe his little workout. That's not little. That's huge. That's pretty amazing. So tell me, as his mom, what sort of products you steer him towards, and, you know, what kind of things that you encourage him to use, and how you added into his day.
Sure. Well, I was happy to hear your story about your kids, because that was kind of a similar situation we were in with some of his ADHD medication. We had the opposite effect, though. He was getting a really bad midsection, and that's like where all of his weight went. And so we were talking to the doctor, and the doctor's like, you know, it's just something that the medication does. It's not unhealthy, but to me, I mean, it looked unhealthy. And Mike and I were already doing Visalis full time, and it was just a natural progression for us to just start having Brandon do it. When we started about 2 years ago, he wasn't doing a shake a day. It was every so often, and we were doing the one scoop. And then in the last year, I guess it was NST actually last April when they rolled out the Vi Life Challenge, we're like, he's already doing it, so he might as well join in with us. And so at that point, he actually gets his own kit every month. He gets a balance kit every month with his name. He has his own account, and he does at least a shake a day with 2 scoops or crunch. He has the option. And then we're big meal preppers, and so he just naturally knows how to, you know, make the smarter selections. We've actually gone to where we don't buy a lot of the junk food. We're pretty much Vi in this house. I mean, the NutriBars, the cookies, you know, everything. He even knows how to read labels now. So even at 11 years old, we're just happy that we're putting those steps in place for him to be able to grow up, know, you know, a good selection versus a better selection. And he can make those choices. He has his own Kindle that he'll go in and on MyFitnessPal log in his stuff. You know, and we're trying to walk that line of being obsessive but being knowledgeable, because it's hard with kids. You don't want them to have that complex. But it's so much easier when he comes in, and instead of wanting, you know, cookies and milk in the afternoon, he can have a cookies and cream shake. And that's what I try to impress on parents. It's not that you want these kids to be, like, weight paranoid, but you want them to have a healthier option and get to the point that they're choosing the healthier option. And that's where he is. And he just loves working out with us. We have a neighborhood gym here, and that's where he'll go up and he'll do weights with his dad. He'll get on the treadmill with me. We were doing CrossFit. He and Mike actually just ran this couples active weight loss here in the East Coast. Who knows how that will end up? But the fact that a father and son, you know, can work out together and enter into a competition, that's pretty awesome. So, I mean, we're just real excited for him, and he's real excited to keep doing it. And, you know, as long as it's something positive, of course we're going to back him up and keep doing that. And we just love doing it as a family. It's a built-in support system, too, when you do it as a family.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I really appreciate you letting him stay up a little bit later and letting him get on this call. I know that he inspires me, and I have shown my kids his journey and what he's doing. And so, you know, it's pretty awesome. Maybe we should create a Project 10 Kids group for all the family members, little kids that we have on the challenge.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much.
All right, no problem. You guys have a great night.
You too. Now I am looking for Erin. I know Erin is a mom. I met her at the last big event that we had, and I think you had a few of your kids with you, and so I was really honored to meet your kids. And I would like you to, Erin, are you here?
I am.
Hi. Listen, why don't you tell us how you incorporate the challenge and the Vi products into your family's lifestyle?
So when I started Vi, it was about 2 years ago. My little one was just over 1 year old. I was still nursing, and I checked all the research I could possibly check, and I knew that Vi was completely safe for me to use. Was still nursing him. My oldest one was 10. I was also a foster parent. I had 3 16-year-olds in my house, as well as my kids. I started Vi, and I said, nobody can touch it. This is mine. And eventually I got my kits for free. And so we started sharing and adding kits. So my teenagers who knew nothing about nutrition, coming from homes that just didn't give them that sort of attention or knowledge, started using them, and they used it for sports. A lot of the kids did track with the school. They used neuro when they had tests for school. My oldest one also has ADHD diagnosed, and we had him off medicines and using neuro a couple times a day during school to help him focus. He would do shakes on and off, just kind of like as a breakfast thing sometimes or after school snack. And then most recently he went on a family trip for a little bit over a month and came back, had gained quite a little bit of a belly and some cheeks. And so he immediately started doing his shakes for breakfast as a meal replacement. And then he would have it with his lunch as well. So he was having 2 shakes a day, but not replacing both meals. And lost it all, felt happy right away. I think he lost whatever he had gained within the month. And now he uses it every single morning for breakfast. Sometimes he'll do it when he comes home for a snack before we run out to church or sports. And it's just absolutely amazing that he can get, everything nutritious that he can get and need for his day, in our shakes. My 3-year-old loves those shakes. If the blender is going off and you don't make him a shake, he will scream at you until he gets one. He has been like that since he was 1 and barely talking. Vi is definitely a part of that one's life for sure. He is a Vi lifer from the very beginning. And it's been great. They've seen me lose 70 pounds on the scale over the last couple of years. My 12-year-old challenges his teachers. My foster kids used to challenge people walking through Walmart that had protein powder in their carts. It's absolutely amazing for them to be able to see you change your life, give them the knowledge, and they just, they're going to follow suit for sure. So
that's amazing. I love that it's just simple and it's convenient and it's so packed full of nutrition that I know my kids are always on the go, so it's really hard to get them to sit down for this big, 3-course meal, but they'll grab a shake in between school and practice, and I'm okay that I know that they're getting great nutrition. So listen, I want to say thank you for sharing your story with us and sharing how you've incorporated this product into your family's lifestyle, and it's pretty awesome. So thank you very much, and congrats on 70 pounds. That's amazing.
Thank you.
It's a great example for you to be for your kids. So thanks.
Yeah.
Keep going. Don't quit.
Never.
Awesome. Well, our next guest, I'm without any further ado, I'm going to rush right into introducing Rachel. She has got a pretty exciting background. I sort of put it out there on Facebook, and somehow we got chatting and figured out that she has a really good educational background for kids and nutrition and obesity, and I am actually just going to let her tell you her credentials because I don't want to mess it up. I want her to be able to just tell us what she knows and what she's learned, and she's very passionate about this topic as well. So, Rachel, are you here?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect. Take it away, girl.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. And I just want to give a huge shout-out to little Brandon. Man, you are amazing, kiddo. And I've never run a 15K, so kudos to you. The furthest I've ever gone was 10, so that is awesome. A little bit about me and my background. I actually started school in pre-med. So I have an undergrad in biology with an emphasis in human anatomy, and I got a little discouraged as I was starting to become an EMT and work in the ERs and see that a lot of medicine nowadays, now this isn't with every physician, but a lot of medicine nowadays is treatment. And I didn't want to just treat. I wanted to help prevent. So that's when I started looking at a master's program in health education, also known as preventative medicine. And I fell in love with studying obesity and trying to help the effects of it because over the past 25 years, our nation's rate of obesity has increased so much, it's staggering. Just to throw some statistics at you guys, to let you know the severity of the issue, the Center for Disease Control stated that in 2008, the annual cost of obesity was $147 billion. So that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. I know a lot of us know that there are so many diseases that are associated with obesity: heart disease, cancer, skin problems. There's a lot of issues that we have, breathing problems as well. The average obese person spends over $1,400 a year more than a person who's not obese on medical expenses alone. That's just medical expenses. So we as Visalians, being able to offer products that will help us get healthier fit, this is huge. You know, when you say it's not just about your grocery bill, but it's about your medical bills as well. We can help you save on that. We can help you extend your life. I was actually a researcher at the University of Michigan when Visalis fell in my lap. I'm an absolute Dr. Seidman junkie. I love to watch all of his videos and follow along in the research with him. He is an amazing physician. He's one of those physicians out there that I would strive to want to get to know. Every time I see him, I'm always trying to pick his brain a little bit when he's surrounded by so many people. He truly is a physician who wants to seek out and not just treating patients, but helping prevent as well, which is awesome. I actually did my graduate thesis on parental attitudes towards childhood obesity and trying to help us understand what we can do as parents to help strengthen our children. And, you know, a lot of the moms have made reference that it is us. It starts with us. So when you start thinking about it, one of the number one ways we can tell if a child is going to be overweight later in life is if their parents are overweight, because it comes with the home factor. And there's a lot of great programs that are in schools right now that we're trying to implement in schools, but if we don't help transition that into the homes, there are many times that our children aren't getting better. So obesity is on the rise. Statistics are not lowering yet. And I think Visalis has a great cause and a mission, not just with Project 10 Kids, but also trying to help the parents as well. So you guys can ask yourself a question. When we become older in life, what do we associate comfort food with? We associate it with food that we ate as a child. So if we do not learn and teach our children how to eat healthier as a child when we grow up, a lot of times we can, you know, get caught into a state where we're going to reference back to comfort foods. And because our activity of today's day and age is slowing down, it's a lot harder to lose weight nowadays than what it used to be. So that's just a little bit about me and my background. I was going to let Faith maybe fire some questions at me, and I'll get on a spin again of statistics. Or maybe the rest of our group can throw some questions out there on our conversation thread as well.
Okay, well, here's one question I have, because I often encounter this. I run a fitness studio, and so once a week I run a class. Just parents can bring their kids, and the kids, we get active, we get moving, we do fun things and stuff. But one of the concerns I know a lot of parents had, and I think it was Shane that sort of mentioned it, about not being weight conscious but being health conscious, because we don't want our kids to, I know I obsessed. I mean, I've been triple digits probably since I was 8 or 9 years old. My parents didn't have, you know, the nutritional knowledge that's out there now, and so they just didn't have the tools to help me not continue to gain all this weight. And so I know I was obsessed. I had a really hard time dealing with the fact that I was fat and I was overweight. How do we sort of intercept when we see our kids gaining weight or, I know sometimes they go through puberty, their weight changes and stuff. How do we encourage them into a healthy lifestyle without making them self-conscious, do you think, towards being overweight?
You're absolutely right, and there is definitely a fine line to walk when we are dealing with a child who is struggling with their weight, and we as parents encouraging them, not discouraging them. And I think that comes down to it's absolutely wonderful that you're including parents along with it. So a lot of times if a parent changes their lifestyle because they show their child that they want to get healthier, the children will follow suit. So making it a family effort and encouraging children along the way, more about upliftment though. So we're not, especially with children. So when you determine a child's overweight and obesity ratios, it's challenging because, like you said, children, especially in their adolescence, are going through puberty. So a child may be for a couple of months a little slightly overweight, but then they'll grow, 3 or 4 inches in the next 6 months, and they'll grow into it. So it's constant. We're constantly fighting that. We're also constantly fighting sports. So kids will be in sports for 3 months, going like crazy, and then they'll stop and rest for a couple of months, but keep that appetite the same. So it's I know that happened with me and my daughter. She's a cross-country runner, so her and Brandon would have a lot of fun. And she actually encountered an injury last spring, and it halted her quite quickly from, running 15 to 20 miles a week to running none. And she did put on 15 pounds, and we were struggling so much with her getting through the injury, we didn't even reference the weight. And because though she was a teenager, she recognized it herself, and because I am a fitness expert as well, and I'm a certified trainer, she reached out to me for help. We put her, we upped her shakes a little bit, and she was able to lose 15 pounds in 3 weeks. So it was, sometimes it's what your children want. You need to pay attention to them. If they're happy just exercising, then we need to make sure that they always feel beautiful. So it's all on the upliftment side. If you notice that their children are starting to struggle and you ask them, honey, what are we struggling with, and they say their weight, then we need to be parents and say, okay, let's work on this together, and let's lose this together. But it's absolutely a family atmosphere, constantly encouraging our children and helping them together as a family. So we're not just achieving it for them, but we're achieving it together.
That's awesome. I love some of those points that you made. Now, this is another sort of very real topic, especially in today's day and age. I know that we've talked about it in Canada that children as young as 3 years old are being put on, depressive medications and antipsychotic medications and this kind of thing. What suggestions might you have for a parent who has a child on a certain type of medication that sort of interferes with hormones or maybe causes a little bit of weight gain, or because then you're kind of working uphill, right? You're kind of you feel like you're fighting a losing battle because the medication makes it difficult to lose weight, and yet you want them, you're nervous about those health concerns.
Man, that is an incredibly sensitive subject, and I'm not a physician, so I'm definitely going to point that out, you guys. I do have a couple of degrees and certifications behind my back. As a parent, I would question that. Thank God my children have not had to experience that yet. I know, though in my situation, I've had a few health issues over the past couple of years myself. I've been having hormone problems, which have caused me migraines, and my physicians, just as an adult, wanted to put me on a consistent daily medication, and I refused. I did not want to do that as a person. There are medications out there that are needed, okay? And there are medications out there that are going to help keep us alive. For instance, I have high blood pressure. Despite being a CrossFitter and a very active person, I have genetically high blood pressure. If I do not take my blood pressure medicine, I could have a stroke. I recognize that. It is life or death. When it comes to antidepressants, at that young of age, this is my personal belief. I feel that you need to ask yourself, what as a parent can I do to help improve my child without medicating them this much? Is this medication life or death? And like I said, many physicians nowadays, they treat. They don't necessarily try to prevent. Our drug companies are out there to treat. You know, I think it's comical that the FDA does not approve supplements or vitamins, but they do go out there and approve addictive drugs. Okay? So you got to think about this a little bit. I'm not trying to call anything out, but, you know, you can kind of put two and two together. Our world revolves around medications and drugs. So if we want to advocate being healthy, then we need to take a step and look towards, is this needed? What else naturally can we do to help ourselves? Is there a way to change the diet? Is there a way to help relieve stress in another manner? What is their situation at home that I can help with? And as I say this, I do want to make reference to that if you choose to research this yourself, make sure you are researching things adequately. So Google can be a very good thing, but it can also be a very devastating thing because there are many journalists out there who don't always state fact, but state opinion. So as a professional researcher who worked at the University of Michigan, I want to let all of you know that when you do research an article and it is giving statistics, there are a couple of guidelines you need to follow by. One, was this article reviewed by a group of their peers? So you need to look for that reference. You need to look that if they're stating statistics, how these tests were performed. Because if they don't state how tests were performed, then the test results can be inaccurate. Like I said, there are a lot of good medications out there that help people, but in some instances, we as parents need to get second opinions, and we need to dive down a little bit further before we start medicating our children that much.
Right. Well, listen, Rachel, I appreciate your knowledge and your wisdom, and you've given us this. I feel like I just ate a steak in terms of information because you just gave us some really great information and some tips. And I agree with you that as parents, we need to be advocates in every aspect of our child's health, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I agree with you. We really need to look at what's in the best interest of our child. I am glad that in the case of nutrition that we have Visalis, and we have some pretty incredible products and an incredible community of people that we can sort of meld with, and there are people like you in our community that we can send you a message and say, hey, with your background, what do you think about this? And so I just encourage people to really dig in, and some of the best tips I've heard tonight was to be the example for your kids. You're not going to get your kids to change their lifestyle if you're not willing to change your lifestyle. If we emulate the behavior we want to see in our kids, eventually our kids are sort of going to follow in those footsteps. And so with that being said, I want to thank everyone who's gotten on the call. I want to thank all our guests. I am so inspired that one of the things I love about Visalis, not only as a business, but just as a company in general, it's very family-oriented, not just the people that are in the community, but also they really want you to be involved with your own family. Family is one of the top pillars, and I love that we have this avenue, such an easy way for us to get our kids nutrition and ourselves and to be able to make our families healthy. So if you're struggling in any way, shape, or form, feel free to reach out with us on the TeamViHOPE page. Send us a message. Anybody that's been on this call, you can shoot us a message and ask some questions. And we may not know the answer, but we can certainly reach out to the community and find an answer for you that's accurate and correct. So with that being said, I want to say thank you for getting on the call. Remember that this is a family affair, and getting healthy together is one of the best and one of the most fun ways that we can improve our lives and our children's lives. So thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thanks, Faith.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Good night.